Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Action Network and live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode. We will review the 5 picks we put into the favorites contest, discuss why we left some out, preview the early lines we already like for week 12. I'm joined as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Chad. Hey, I want to say sorry about your Bears, but at least we had a winning week.
I have such low expectations when it comes to the Bears that the fact they played great for the Bears and still lost the way they did is entirely on par. And the fact that Matt Eberflus considers himself to be a coaching genius who decides, yeah, I've got a timeout. I've got 30 seconds left in the game. I can do something like maybe center the ball or even hand the ball off and gain 5 extra yards so my kick can have a little bit more loft. So it's not a line drive as a longer kick from a guy who does not have the biggest leg in the world. But whatever. Matt Eberflus does Matt Eberflus. It's why he won't be the coach of the Bears, and why he shouldn't have been the coach of the Bears this season. The good news for us, we did have an early day, or a winning day. And thanks to the early games, I feel like this was the most stress-free contest Sunday we have had all season. We're 3-2. Only one of those games was a blowout. That was the Lions. Even the games that were in question, though, in the early minutes, until the final in the early games, until the final minutes felt like we had an edge. I'd argue that even the last game of the day, which was the Chiefs and the Bills, we felt like we had an edge because who would you rather have the ball than Patrick Mahomes in the final 60 seconds of a game? We'll get to all of that. Catch every episode of The Favorites live on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And now, new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code Favorites, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right. Our only loss from the early slate was the Cleveland Browns. You tried to walk me off it. I said, we have to do it. It'll be good for the show. You know what the problem with the good for the show logic is, which we have done often in our time together, Simon? It's terrible for the record. Terrible for the record. The Browns had more plays. We had the Browns plus half a point. They ended up as favorites, close to 2. More plays, more passing yards, more first downs. They also had only 3.3 yards per carry, were sacked 3 times, went 3 of 13 on third downs. This was supposed to be the game where they ran the ball down the Saints' throats, and their defense was amazing, and none of that happened.
Yeah, you got Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill, I think, had like 130 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Yeah. It's just one of those games. I never trusted it, but you loved it. The number agreed with you. I mean, professionals bet it with you. And then it felt like everybody was giving it out. And it's like, oh, man, is anyone taking the Saints here? It was just us all Cleveland. So, yeah,
and that
was a miss. But it's a tough year. Like, there's other games like I wish you would have loved more. But, I got why you were confident in this game. It's like, let's fade this Saints team after emotional win. And they looked ready. They looked prepared for this game. You can't say the same for Cleveland. Cleveland just looked really dysfunctional that whole game. And, they got outplayed by the Saints. So, yeah, tough. I mean, like you just said, though, they got blown out. So it was like, I had that one on the TV screen. I just switched it off after a little while because it's like, we're not coming back. We're down 14 at one point. I was like, we're not getting back from this. This is not not where you want Jameis Winston to be leading you back. Even though he actually didn't play that bad, I will say, like he had a pretty incredible throw in the corner of the end zone. But
Dude,
yeah,
Jameis.
the defense just no showed. Absolutely no show by the defense of Cleveland. So they're what 2-8 now. That's a team that's totally done with the season.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest fear in this game was Jameis. He
Yeah,
actually didn't make any mistakes. The problem was their defense didn't get any pressure. Like the premise for this game was their defense would get pressure.
yeah,
Their defense would cause Derek Carr to make the mistakes that he always makes when he's under pressure. Because he had been so good last week, we thought they were overvalued this week by starting as a favorite. Derek Carr ended up 21 to 27. Meanwhile, the Browns did not stop the run. The Saints gained 210 yards on the ground, average 7 yards per carry. Like pathetic, pathetic display off of a bye against a team that has no proven players on the edge offensively. But none of that is as pathetic as Dustin Hopkins.
mm,
Did you see any of that?
I did. No, I saw the game on when he was missing all those field goals.
Dustin Hopkins missed multiple field goals in the first half, including a 32-yarder that was waved off because of a New Orleans penalty. They gave the Browns a first down. On the restarted series, I'm in my head, I'm like, fuck. Jameis is going to throw like a pick. So there's going to be no chance to even kick a shorter field goal. So, of course, he almost throws a pick in the red zone. The Browns end up having to try another field goal. This time, Dustin Hopkins misses from 27. It all around, it was an L almost from the get-go. They went for two when they were down 7-6, and they scored. Like, just all around a bad game for the Browns.
Yeah,
We move
they're
on.
just a really bad team.
They're a
And
bad team.
we tried getting cute with it. Thought we were smart. Should just listen to our instincts. Where we knew that at +3, it was okay to take it. It was a good number. Once it moved as much as it did, we should have known just to stay away. And unfortunately, we did not. Even though like it was a game that we had locked in. That if we had updated our picks this morning, maybe would have taken out because we would have had a bad number on it. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that was a game you loved, and I really didn't hate it enough to take it out just because of what we talked about this Saints team. It's like they're a bad team as well. Both these teams are bad. One team is clearly worse right now, and that's Cleveland.
Yeah, and also I think we just at the end of the day, I would have been okay taking it out. We thought we had the best of the number. And while it hasn't
Yeah.
mattered, it's still a bad habit to bet against it. So we left it. There were two games I think we could have put in there. I've got those marked for after we get through our five. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. We had Pittsburgh 3.5. Congrats on us for not overthinking. Congrats on us for pulling the trigger on the most obvious bet on the board, going back to last Sunday night. All the Tomlin trends as a dog, all the Tomlin trends as a dog at home, all the trends of Harbaugh as a favorite, Lamar as a favorite, the trends for the underdogs in this series. All of them went the way they have been going for the past 20 years. Hooray.
Yeah, my best bet of the day. It's like you just said. It's the easy ones that are hard to take. Like I was with you early in the week. I was like, "Is there something I'm missing?" Because I didn't get why it was still 3.5. Even today, there was a bunch
Yeah.
of books here in Jersey that were still 3.5, and it just never made sense. It's like, why aren't the professionals hammering this number? Why is this not 3 or 2.5 by kickoff? So that was the only thing that kind of scared me because it felt like you just said way too easy. We know this matchup. We know Lamar struggles against Pittsburgh, whatever that weird voodoo is. And little did we know, it's their kicker that it cost it for him. I mean, the Ravens, I don't know what they're going to do. Justin Tucker, I mean, we've all been thinking it that he's cooked. It's tough to deny it. Like, this guy can't hit him over 50. Now he's missing the ones under 50, which he just never did. It's tough. When you're a kicker, you hit that wall, and all of a sudden it's just different. And he is a liability to this team right now. And we got lucky for once with the kicker. Because like you just talked about, the kicker's missing. At one point, we had the Cleveland kicker miss, and then they cut to the Rams kicker missing. And then it cut to this game with him missing Justin Tucker. I'm like, okay, at least we got one out of the 3 games here going our way. But yeah, for once, Pittsburgh's kicker made all his kicks for us, and we like we joke, that game is the easiest bet we make all year. That matchup, it's you take whoever the dog is and you bet the under, and both things were no sweats today. The plus 3.5 was never in doubt. The under was never in doubt. So I wish they could all be that easy. Sometimes the trends are just that good, Chad. You just can't overthink it. Just have to bet these smart trends.
Well, the Steelers did make us a little bit anxious, I will say, because they could not score touchdowns. And against Lamar Jackson, against the Ravens, as good as the Steelers defense is, and it was lights out today. Um, if you're not scoring touchdowns and you're getting the red zone and you're only kicking field goals, you do leave yourself open to being vulnerable to losing your bet and losing that game,
For
right?
sure.
And there was a period in the first half, it felt like the Ravens could dominate this game if they were able to get one or two touchdowns in the first half, like convert one of those. And they did towards the end of the first half. But it felt like this whole game in the first half was played between the 40s, right? And just a field goal kicking contest. And the Steelers kept getting it. Did you ever feel nervous about this at all? Because I felt a little bit anxious about it when we got into the second half and the Steelers like could not get into the end zone.
No, these games are just really stupid. I mean, it's just they all the turnovers they had as well, Pittsburgh. And like you just
Yeah.
said, they won the game and the Ravens scored 2 touchdowns. They scored 0 touchdowns. Like it's just that's how these games are. So it's like I don't know. I know people hate these type of games. These are literally my favorite football games to watch. It's like I love just ugly underdog, low scoring games with the under, and it's just like that's just my favorite type of football. I know it's sickening for most people, but as a bettor, it's just so much fun to watch because every point matters so much. So I maybe you're right. Maybe the only part of me that really felt anxious was the very end when they're going for two, and it's just like, okay, could we lose this because it's going to go to overtime and somehow Lamar gets a six and we do lose? But honestly, the whole game, never really worried about it. I mean, I think we started the game out the gates of what, up 6-0. The Ravens scored 7-6. Then at half, it's 9-7. It's like, okay, as long as they keep this weird type of score, we're gonna cover this 3.5 for the 3. Like that's what we needed, is just a weird number to land on it.
At 15-10, the Steelers were near the Ravens goal line. Russell Wilson got pressured. He threw the ball out of bounds and out of the end zone. And my son, who was sitting next to me, said, I feel like he's in this game, I feel like he is constantly throwing the ball away. And I said out loud, that's what we like about him right now, as opposed to someone like Justin Fields. He's not trying to reach. Very next play, touchdown or interception
Interception,
in the
yeah.
back of the end zone. And what could have been an 18-10 lead turns into a Ravens with the ball. Unfortunately, like it played out our way
Yeah.
and everything you said. Here's the most important thing. Ravens are now 7-4. Steelers are 8-2. The Ravens have looked terrible at times offensively, especially against good teams. So what do we take away from this about the Ravens right now?
I mean, nothing's really changed. I thought okay, they'll somehow figure it out and win this division. But yeah, Pittsburgh now just beating the Commanders and then turn around and winning this game. It's like, how do we not give them their flowers and take them more serious? It's like, yeah, it's their division now. But the Ravens, I was just already out on them. Like I had zero futures on them for the Super Bowl just because we talked. I thought last year was the peak. It was the perfect year. This year, there's going to be too many holes when you're paying Lamar what you're paying him. Like we didn't even talk the Chiefs yet. You're seeing that with the Chiefs, right? They can't afford any offensive linemen because they're giving so much money to Mahomes and a couple other guys. So it's the same with the Ravens. It's like, yeah, big deal that they got Derek, Henry. He's been a game changer for them, but they allocated money there and they've gone cheap in other places. And you've kind of seen it this year. It's just, it's all on Lamar. When he's not on his 100% A game, they're a team you can beat. And you're right. Like Russell Wilson, if he was a little better in this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers probably would have rolled them. Like they were moving the ball up and down the field on. They just couldn't finish those drives. I will say, I just remember there's one moment I was freaked out. It was with Justin Fields. He could have got an easier first down. He slid early to get what was it, the 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 1.
They could have ended the game.
Yeah, get this guy out of here. His field awareness is just zero.
He slid a yard early.
Yes.
So instead of going first down and basically ending the game, it kept the drive. It allowed the Steelers to call time or the Ravens to call timeout. That was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Rams at New England. We bet the Rams 4.5. We liked them all week, but we would discuss it this morning. This was the game you were most worried about. Tell me why.
Just for what I bet personally, because I told you I didn't really get the movement. Like I told Chad I was up all night and they were down to 3.5 and I was betting it, but I was just like, what is happening? Who is hitting this other side so heavy? And I'm not gonna lie, I really did think we were gonna get Drake May at the end of that game. It was just like they somehow didn't get that first down, the Rams, when they could have done whatever they wanted. It seems like every play they want to make is easy with Cooper Kupp or Puka. But Stafford's like, no, let me throw it to my third tight end or some random other guy on the outside. It's like, just go to your best guys in these tight moments, Stafford. Come on. I don't care if they're covered. But yeah, they punted up 6. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this is going to happen. Just because, I mean, they dominated that game, the Rams. They were clearly the better side, but Drake May's got some moxie. That team, they don't quit. They let them hang around. I think at one point they were up, I don't know if we were up 14 or maybe it was 15, a random number. And, he comes down, gets that touchdown, and now we're only up 6. And it's like, okay, I thought the number should be 6. Hopefully my model is right and it lands right on 6 because that's the whole reason we took this number is like, it's under 6. We think we're getting a good number here. And the public was overreacting to that Patriots team. And they did. That's what it ended up being. The number moved too much. We got a good number. Landed right where it should have. And yeah, that was a nice cover. That was a nice game. We talked about, predicted, hung in there, kept it in there, and it was a good cover.
That was a game where it just felt like the Rams were playing with their food.
Yeah.
Like they were so much better than the Patriots. And in the first quarter, like the Patriots were making plays, they were getting momentum, they were building confidence. And then from the second quarter through the third quarter, the Rams basically went on a 28-3 run. And they were up 28-10. The Patriots scored a touchdown at the end of the third, 28-17, 16 or something like that. And then they get that last touchdown. I was definitely thinking we're fucked because they went back to sort of playing with their food.
Yeah.
I feel like in the same way we hit the Saints last week at the exact right spot, I feel like we got the Rams this week in the exact right spot. So the challenge will be looking ahead. They've got the Eagles. It's a primetime game. They're dogs at home against the Eagles. I'm going to be excited to talk about that game with you when we get to the Week 12 lines. Jacksonville, Detroit. This was our big balls bet of the week. First time we've ever done a double-digit favorite for big balls bet of the week. We had Detroit minus 12.5. As they say in Hollywood, no notes.
No, that was the dream. That was a game we loved. We both bet a bunch on, and even if you were betting a bad number, like I even bet a couple 13.5s, and it's like I should just wait and maybe it goes back to 13. But I just felt like it was only going to go up to 14 by kickoff. But professionals held that line. Like that number really did budge back down from 14 to 13.5, and we obviously had a good number in the contest. I think we had 12.5, but wouldn't have mattered. Like we even joked about like, are these numbers really haven't mattered for us so much in the contest? I mean, 2.5s have, but other numbers for the most part, it's not really been landing on those numbers as much. So that was a game where we were fine leaving it in, even at a bad number. Honestly, even at 14.5, it'd have been like, I don't know. I'll keep it in just because I'd rather have that in than the Colts, and it end up being the Colts being a great bet. So yeah, that was a great bet. What was it, 28-3 to start the game? That's what you need when you bet these huge favorites. It's like you just need them to roll to completely take the other team's will, and that's what happened. I mean, the Jaguars quit instantly. Like I think they started the game with 3 straight rushing touchdowns, and it just looked like the Jaguars were playing in mud, and this Detroit team is just not. Like they're just incredibly talented. I saw a lot of books move them to be the odds-on favorite right now for the Super Bowl. Makes sense. Like if they get home field and they're running like this, you don't need Aiden Hutchinson if you're putting up 35, 40 points on any given team any given night. So Yeah, we know the deal. When this Detroit team plays bad teams, Chad, we can't overreact and get worried about betting these big numbers. We just got to take it. I think now, Evan could correct me if I'm wrong. I believe double-digit favorites now, 5-0 against the spread this season.
So I looked at this game, and to me, it was the get Jared Goff the MVP game. Like Dan Campbell saw what happened last week with the, when they came back and with the 5 picks this week, 412 yards. I think he was 24 of 29, 4 touchdowns. They kept the pedal to the metal the entire time. It's almost like somebody was in Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell's ear telling them, okay, Lamar is now completing fewer than 50% of his passes. Of course, this was all before the Bills played the Chiefs, which we'll get to, because that was our final game of the day. So we went into the last game, 3-1 on the day. Patrick Mahomes as a dog. And dude, 12 minutes left. They're down 23-14. I say to myself, the Bills are dominating this game. Like time of possession, the Chiefs really, they had 2 good drives, but the Bills were playing better than the Chiefs were. And I thought to myself, this is why we bet on Patrick Mahomes, because in this moment, that's who you want to have the ball. And I believe that right until the last play of the game. It didn't work out for us, but I never regretted betting on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it was a great run. It hurts, but I make that bet every time, and we saw how it could have worked out for us. It's pretty simple. It was 4th and 2. Josh Allen's up 2. If he gets stuffed there, who knows, right? The Mahomes either drives the field, scores, or he gets stuffed, and that game's over. We cover the 2.5. I hit my under bet. It would have been really nice. Josh Allen had a big moment, right? MVP moment. He stepped up. The Chiefs, for some reason, didn't run a QB spy on him, which was just, to me, bizarre, because it's like, Matt Mitchell said it. It just felt like it was a moment where Josh Allen's like, this is going to be in my hands. Like, I'm not going to let someone take this moment from me. I think he is now 4-1. Maybe I could be wrong. 4-1 straight up against Mahomes in the regular season, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty big time play by Josh Allen. And yeah, that was a really fun playoff game that came down to 2 or 3 plays that didn't go our way. And yeah, the worst part of it's the teasers didn't cover either for Mahomes, which heading into that spot, I think Evan said he was 14-0 as an underdog on teasers. Pretty brutal. That didn't cover. So yeah, I was hoping we'd get the back door, Chad. Get a big scramble, I think, for 30 yards. They called it back on a hold, made it 4th and 13 again. And it's like, okay, we're dead. We're not getting this back door. So yeah, tough loss, but just another day betting these trends. It's tough when they don't work out for you.
MVP odds just before the afternoon games, after Jared Goff threw for 400 yards. He had been 20-1 during the week. He had dropped because of the 5-pick game. Uh, Before the Chiefs and Bills played, it was Lamar plus 130. It was Josh Allen plus 250 and Jared Goff plus 600. So he jumped quite a bit in the MVP tallies. We're waiting on updated MVP odds post this Josh Allen game. I imagine he'll now be the odds-on favorite to win the MVP, given that he just beat Patrick Mahomes, did it in spectacular fashion. He just had a great game. He made on that drive, he was Mahomesian. He made the plays that he had to make. He hit the guys that he had to hit, converted hard third downs, scored the game-winning touchdown, converted the 4th down. Kudos, Josh Allen. Kudos, Buffalo Bills. Matt Mitchell may be buying ice cream for his entire neighborhood tonight because he's so excited. At the very least, he gets to eat wings with gloves because all of his fears are over now. All right. Here's the regrets. I don't think we seriously discussed the Colts enough. And we had the Colts in the underdog round robin, along with Atlanta, Kansas City, and Tennessee. None of them won, but the Colts and the Steelers did. we never had a combo about them. And I felt like we actually liked them more after Anthony Richardson was named the starter. Why did we miss that one?
I mean, I loved them. It wasn't on your radar. I only have so many winners in me. That should have been you. That instead of Cleveland, you should have the Colts. I got nothing for
Dude,
you.
I loved the Colts all week.
I know I
That's
was
what I'm
never really
saying.
on them. I bet them because I liked the number, but it was like I was never in love with it. You liked them more than me, so I wish I could stand here and be like, I knew the Colts was gonna be a great bet. I honestly, it wasn't on my radar. I didn't know how Anthony Richardson was gonna react. He obviously came out, had an incredible game. I think at one point he was like 7 of 9 passing, like totally
Yeah, he
flipped the
ended the game
narrative in
like
that game.
20 of
So
30 for 275 or something like that.
yeah,
And he converted some fantastic third downs. Like that was a really grown up football game for him.
yeah. So like, again, it was a good bet. I wish we had made it, but yeah, I was never. It was never one of my bigger bets this week. I never would have been in one. Like I was never going to force it in. So yeah, it sucks. Where you definitely liked it, but it was never one year like, oh, we have to get this one, and we never really talked about it.
No. Broncos was the other one. I felt like we had done a full 180 on that one. And we were
Yeah,
all over Atlanta early in the week. And by the end of the week, we really liked Denver.
yeah. Chris Raybon helps though with that.
Yeah,
Like when
although
he starts bringing down all those stats, you're like, shit. You're right. Like this Atlanta team, their offense does struggle against good defense. And Denver, we've both talked about Denver has a good defense, but Bo Nix, man, like really a Bo Nix game. We talked about it. Like I bet him for Rookie of the Year just because it's like it
yeah,
feels like a 2-man race between him and Jane Daniels. That might have been his best game of the season. I mean, he played incredible in that matchup. So yeah, the Bo Nix stock keeps going up every week.
it really does. And look, Jaden Daniels is struggling.
Yeah,
Last couple games have
he's
not been
injured.
great for him.
Yeah, I
You
think
there?
Jane Daniels is injured. That's why. I don't know if you
Oh,
agree.
okay. I
Yeah.
didn't hear you say that he was injured. Yeah, I mean, he struggled against the Eagles, obviously, and they got to him quite a bit on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I was at that game. Let me just say this. I know it's sacrilegious to say these things, but after a week of going to Knicks Bulls at MSG, Bulls win with 3 free throws with 3 seconds left, and then Jalen Brunson has a shot go in and out. Then I go the next night with my kid to Eagles Commanders at the link, and Saquon goes off in the second half. It's great. Eagles dominate. First half was so freaking boring. And these games take so long. And it's like every 5 seconds, there's a minute to 2 minute break. And then we visited the University of Maryland, which was amazing. Great campus, really impressive school. Went to the Maryland Marquette game, and that game came down to the final seconds. Maryland was down two with 15 seconds left. The kid was on the line to shoot two for Maryland, missed them both. Game ends. But like the in stadium, in game live experience for basketball is just so much better than the NFL. It just is.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, you have a different way of watching football. It all depends on the type of viewer you are. I think you just like action, you like points, which is nothing wrong with. Go watch NBA or go watch NHL. That's for you. For someone like me, I like that game. I know people didn't love it, but I love that was an NFC East classic. It was ugly. Every catch mattered. I mean, guys were dropping the ball all over the field because it's just so intense. Everyone's so tight. I love that because you can feel it in the stadium. So I get what you're saying. It's just a different type of thing where it's like, yeah, do we both want to see a 50-45 game? Sure, I would have loved that. And if the NFL game was going crazy, but instead we got a what 20-12 type of game, and that's just how it is sometimes in
Guy,
NFC
first of
East.
all, don't fucking insult me with I want points. I grew up in Chicago
You sound like a TikToker, dude. You sound like a little Gen Zer right now.
going to Bears games when it's four below and rooting for the game to be 3-0 Bears because all I want to do is see
All
the
right, you're
defense
soft now. That was a long
dominate.
time ago, Chad. You're
Well,
soft now.
I'm definitely soft. I definitely thought after the game, I don't really need to go to a game if it's less than 40 degrees. Number
Yeah.
one. Number two, it's not the intensity, it's the interruptions and the commercial breaks and the amount of time that is spent just sitting there waiting for the next thing to happen. It could be attention deficit. It could totally be about attention span. But I'm just saying, as a product, the experience for basketball was much better in game than the experience for football. That's all I'm saying.
You're Chinese.
Thank God we don't have to put the Steelers and the Browns in the contest this week. Looking ahead, to week 12, the lines that we are looking at.
Yeah,
Browns are 4-point dogs at home. I hate that I feel this way,
I
uh,
know.
but I'm glad we're not going to have to put it in the contest. I don't know if you have an early lean on that game.
No, we're supposed to bet the Browns. You're right.
Yeah,
I don't want to do anything with that game.
I
Right now,
want nothing to
early
do with that
lean
game.
is Pittsburgh.
Yeah. There is a game, however. A team had a bye this week. A team looked pretty good 2 weeks ago. Last week, Carolina Panthers were 11.5-point underdogs against Kansas City Chiefs.
Are we doing it?
I'm not saying we're doing it. Like, I think it merits attention. I'm not going to bet it right now, but I do think it merits some attention to think about, especially, you
Yeah.
know, now.
I agree, though. We're supposed to bet that. We always say we like to fade Mahomes, but um, yeah, that I wonder if our listeners will let us bet it. But that's definitely a game that jumped out to me that I want to bet. We just talked about it. Favorites right now, double digits. They're 5-0. I know you always talk about things being overdue. Isn't a big dog overdue to win this year or
Yes.
cover at least a big double digit spread? So yeah, that number's too big. I'll take it early here with you, but I don't know if listeners will let us put that one in, but I'm with you. I definitely love that
I
one right
can't see
away.
that one making it into the contest. There are loads of home dogs this week. I'm going to read a list of the home dogs. There are 7. I want you to tell me which ones you pinpointed because I got a couple and I want to see if we match. The Bears are 5-point dogs at home against Minnesota. These are all home dogs that I'm reading off. Indy, 7 points against Detroit. Giants, 3 against Tampa. Vegas, 3 against Denver. Green Bay, 1 against San Francisco. Rams, 2.5 at versus Philly. Chargers, +3 versus Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, jumped out right away. I wanted to grab the Lions at -7. That's already up to -8. Unfortunately, that felt like a little too low to me for that Colts team. But now that it's up to 8, it's like I don't need to rush and take that one. If you're still able to get 7.5, I throw a little bit on that just because it seems like it's going to keep going up on this Colts team. Patriots, are we the suckers? Are we a sucker for trying to take the Patriots at +7.5? That feels like it's a lot of points for that matchup.
I forgot who they're playing. Hold on,
They're
I'm
playing
checking.
Miami.
Oh yeah, I was really focused on home dogs.
Yeah,
Um,
I know they're on the road. I'm just taking that one right now. They're just another big dog that popped out to me. That just feels like that number will come down just because, I know Miami, they won what 31-19 today, but they're
that was
still
a scoreboard win, not a box score win. Like that game was much closer
agree.
throughout the game than it should have been.
And I think we both agree this Raiders team is totally terrible. So
Terrible.
what do we do with that line? You see their line against Denver, it's -4.
I mean, you have to take the Raiders. Like we're
Right,
just going to.
that to me is one of the fish. That line's really fishy. Giants are +3.5 at home against Tampa.
So that's interesting. Like some of these lines have moved. Obviously these were the lines before we get on the show, and it's been 30 minutes since we started recording.
Yeah,
So now you're saying Raiders are up to 4. They opened at 3. Giants are up to 3.5. They opened at 3. Like, I'm gonna want to be on the Giants. I'm gonna want to be on the Raiders.
I know. There's just again we have to pull it back because today we took a lot of lines I normally wouldn't honestly take. Like we joked about the Chiefs were a really public dog. The Pittsburgh was a really public dog, and Detroit. I think it was like 95% of the bets and the tickets in the Action app were on
Mm-hmm.
Detroit. But we're just leaning into this year. Like this year, does not matter. The public's just been winning. So normally, I'd honestly be with you and just hammering these Giants and Raider lines. But the public has been so good. It's like I'm not rushing. I am not rushing to bet these ones unless you're betting the favorites. Then we just talked about you should rush because Denver just went. Chad just said went from 3 up to 4. So that's early professional money coming in on them. A team I wanted to fade no matter what because of what happened today were the Seahawks. The Seahawks pulled up a last second win. We can get Arizona right now +1, +2 as a dog.
Yes. Yes. I'm with
So
you
that's a number I'm just
100%.
grabbing now in case it's the same thing as like Cleveland. I don't know if we'll bet it as the week goes along, because it might flip. But I could easily see this number flipping um, as we sit here Sunday night. Where are you at with the Bears? Because they're 3.5 against this Vikings team.
Well, it's come down. It opened at 5.
Wow.
So that tells me that professionals are coming in on the Bears. And look, I got a lot of questions about this Minnesota team. I just don't think Sam Darnold is very good as a quarterback unless he's throwing to the middle of the field.
Right.
And they let Tennessee stay in this game. So will Brian Flores be able to do to Caleb Williams what he does to every rookie quarterback? It's possible. Will the Bears have a come down moment because they had their best game in the week where they could run some new schemes with a new offensive coordinator, and now there's a little bit more film on that? Will they be emboldened like the Broncos were to come out and just dominate after a really tough loss, which they should have won? Like, I don't know about that yet. So for me, if it's already moved to 3.5, might as well just fucking wait and see where
Okay.
this line
Yeah, I was with a
lands.
couple professionals who were like literally talking during that Bears game. They were going to bet the Bears no matter what this upcoming week because they just think that Caleb looks way freer, I guess, today than he's had looked in weeks. And
I would totally agree.
do you? Because again, I didn't watch enough of that game.
Yes.
My view was it just seemed like by freer, do you mean he's just scrambling more and running with the
He
ball more?
ran a lot more, but also it felt like they were throwing more vertical passes, like
Hmm.
downfield, like the routes he was running were that the receivers were running were just more vertical. They weren't throwing as many crossing routes, and the players made better plays. There were also a lot more screens. Like it was out of his hands in about 2 seconds flat versus being closer to 3 seconds. So who knows? Maybe the protection was a little bit better, but clearly they did something that gave him the confidence to play as aggressively as he did all game. I think a lot of it had to do with getting the ball out of his hands fast.
All right, I'll throw a couple thousand on them because I could see professionals betting this down to 3. So, because literally I was with guys for the 1 o'clock games and they were just a bunch of them were just like, this is going to be a bit. This will be a good change for this Bears team. Like they seemed like they had a rhythm to them. And I honestly wasn't watching the game enough to have an opinion on it, but I trust their opinion. You're saying you're kind of seeing the same stuff. It's like okay, I already was looking for a reason to fade this Vikings team because I'm with you. It's like their defense has just been carrying them this season. Their defense is so good. Where their offense, Sam Darnold has just been so inconsistent these last couple of weeks. And, now he's got another game on the road outdoors against a divisional opponent. You expect this to be a tough matchup for him. So, yeah, that makes sense. Sucks because it feels like we missed the best of it, right? At four and a
Totally
half,
missed it.
5. But
Yeah.
I still think 3.5 might be the best of it because I could see this keep going down if professionals are going to keep hitting this number.
Where are you at on Rams plus 2.5 versus the Eagles? Versus the Eagles.
My view is be patient if you like the Rams, which I kind of do, but I took the Eagles here right away at 2.5 because there's a couple books that at 2.5. I just took that early just because I assume this will go up to 3.5 by kickoff. This is the Sunday night game, so this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I would say this is a great test for this Eagles team because we've all heard the hype right now with these rookie cornerbacks, and everyone's talking about how the difference they're making, and this will be the ultimate test. Cooper Kupp, Puka, two of the best in the game, going against young corners. You think that'd be an advantage to this Rams team, and we know that this Eagles team is different on the road. Jalen Hurts is just better simply at home, but it's a big deal. They're on extended rest, and this is a Sunday night game, so it's like coming off a mini bye week against a Rams team that's coming off the road. This is it's not short rest, but it kind of is, right? Because they're not getting home till tonight.
Yeah.
That's definitely a big deal. So I would say if you want to grab the early number and you like the Rams, I would just wait. If you like the Eagles, I'd grab it now because I could easily see this just going up to 3.5 by Sunday night.
Um, Boy, the Eagles fans love Cooper DeJean. Man,
Yeah.
he
Did you
instantly
see his
became
T-shirt he wore? You're a big wine guy. I forget.
no.
So like if you go shopping for wines, there'll be like the labels that say exciting whites.
Okay.
So him and Blankenship wore these shirts that said exciting whites on it. and they got it from this guy at the Deptford Mall. Which, if you know the local area, it's like, our Deptford malls are like, I love Deptford Mall. It's our trashy mall. Like, just the good people of South Jersey sent him and this other guy this exciting white shirt. So it's just hilarious. We have a white safety and a white cornerback who are sick. It's so random.
So funny. All right, what else am I missing? You mentioned Arizona. There is a 1.5 out there, by the way, for
Yeah. I saw two, so the twos are gone. They're down to 1.5, which
the
makes
Cardinals. So
sense.
it's worth checking out. What else? What did I miss?
We just talked about this 49ers team. Obviously, is not the same team. Isn't this the time to buy plus 1.5 in Green Bay? I mean, you just watched that Green Bay. Something's wrong with Jordan Love. Like, can we all agree he's just not what he was last year? Like, I don't know if it's all the injuries, but he's reckless with the ball. Did he have another interception in this game?
He did,
I'm almost
and he had
positive he
a
did.
costly one at the goal line.
Yes. Like, he keeps making these mistakes, and I don't want to fault him too hard because it's his second year as a starter in this league. It's like, this is what we expect. Like that last year we talked about, that was lightning in a bottle. If they would have lost that game, I might have been more convinced to take them here. How do we not take this 49ers team? They have to be one of the more desperate teams in all of football. And now they're a dog in this spot. This could be a little bit like the Chiefs last week, where I got a little bit, maybe I'm getting a little bit blind to it just because I love the number here, but I make this a pick. We're getting plus 1.5, plus 2 right now on the 49ers. This is just an early bet I'm going to make right now on this 49ers team. I just love that number.
All right, so we're looking at the Cardinals as dogs. We're looking at the Niners as dogs. If you like the Rams, wait. If you like the Bears, you might want to take the 3.5. We'll probably end up on the Giants and the Raiders, but we're keeping our powder dry. The last game, I think tonight has something to do with it. The Chargers and the Ravens. Any initial opinion here?
No, I'm in no rush about that one.
Chargers are 3-point dogs.
Yeah, they're like, to me, if it goes under 3, I'm going to take Lamar because we talk about, I cap Lamar different against Pittsburgh than I do any other team. That's just, for some reason, that's his kryptonite of all the teams he plays. We know the deal. If Lamar is under a 3, it's an auto play. Don't overthink it. He'll get back. He'll get right. That opening number sounds right. If the Chargers win this game tonight, this will come down, so we'll get a better number on. So I'm in no rush. But my early pick I want to be on is this Ravens team.
All right. That covers it, brother. As a reminder, Favorites Podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Catch our next episode live on Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel. We'll cover the entire Week 12 board. We'll announce our Week 11 contest winner. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until Tuesday. Love you.